Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is Gregory Eck of the Law Office of Gregory J. Eck, and we've been talking about the TN visa program. However, a recent and kind of dramatic move by the Trump administration demands some immediate attention. So I'm going to put a pause on our exploration of the TN visa, but I will return to it next week. Today, though, I want to talk about a new fee that the Trump administration imposed on the H-1B visa application. This happened on Friday, September 19th, 2025, when President Trump signed an executive order introducing a new fee for an H-1B visa. And this fee is a whopper. It is $100,000 for a new H-1B visa. This is an absolute game changer, and it will, without question, cause some widespread confusion, concern, maybe even panic across the tech industry and for countless other H-1B visa holders. So today, I'm going to break this new fee down for you to find out or let you know more about what the fee is and who has to pay it and what are the implications of this new fee for the H-1B visa program. So let's jump right in so I can keep helping you move forward with your visa journey. All right, first of all, what is this new H-1B visa fee? Well, first of all, it is a $100,000 payment that has to be paid by an employer for each new H-1B visa application. It is not an annual fee. It only has to be paid once at the beginning of the H-1B visa application process. It's required upon filing. All right. So the administration in the presidential proclamation has framed this as a measure to curb what is perceived as abuses in the H-1B visa program. That's a topic for another video, but there have been a lot of complaints over the years about the H-1B visa program being used to ease out American workers or undercut them or eliminate their jobs and replace them with lower paid foreign workers. Again, this visa is not to address that specific topic. However, the fee is meant, at least in part, to address some of those concerns because, as it is argued by the administration, this fee will ensure that the visa is used only for highly skilled, highly paid workers, which was its original intent when the visa was created years ago. Also, this fee directs the Department of Labor to begin a rulemaking process to raise prevailing wage levels to reinforce that goal of drawing only the most highly skilled, most highly paid foreign workers. Next point. This fee is in addition to the already existing H-1B filing fees. It does not replace them. It is in addition to them, and those fees are already kind of high. They can range anywhere from $1,000 to $2,500 depending on a number of different factors. So this new fee is obviously a significant financial barrier designed really to reshape the H-1B visa program. And President Trump can be accused of many things, but not being dramatic, far-reaching, is certainly not one of them. All right, so let me move now to who has to pay this fee, because $100,000, very few people have $100,000 sitting around to pay a visa fee. Well, this is, in fact, where the initial confusion when the president made this announcement, it's where the most confusion lay. The administration has now provided some more clarity on this through guidance and FAQs. So I can share with you that the fee does not apply to everyone. All right, this is an important fact. Who, for instance, is not affected? Who does not have to pay this fee? Well, first of all, anyone who currently has an H-1B visa does not have to pay this fee. All right, so if you are on an H-1B visa living and working in the United States and your petitions have already been filed and or approved before September 21st, 2025, which was the effective date of this new rule, you are not subject to this fee. Secondly, individuals who are seeking to renew or extend their current H-1B status, the presidential proclamation explicitly states that this fee does not apply to renewals or extensions. All right, that's another important fact. And then thirdly, current H-1B visa holders who are traveling in and out of the United States, your valid visa stamp and approval notice are sufficient for re-entry. In other words, if you find yourself outside the United States, but you already have an H-1B visa stamp in your passport or an approval notice from a previous H-1B application, then you do not need to pay this fee. All right. Also, I just want to reiterate, the fee has to be paid by the employer, not the H-1B visa holder. That's a very important distinction. Individual H-1B visa holders, in the future, the fee does not apply to you. It applies to employers. All right, so this gets to my next point. So who is affected by this new H-1B visa fee? Well, the fee applies to new H-1B petitions that are filed after the September 21st, 2025 deadline, all right, which is the effective date, as I said, for individuals who are outside the United States. This will primarily impact new applicants for the upcoming 2026 H-1B cap lottery. So, real briefly, the H-1B cap lottery process begins shortly after the new year. The registration and so forth generally opens up in the month of March. The lottery itself takes place within the first few days of the month of April. Those will be considered the 2026 H-1B cap applications. Those are the applications that are subject to the fee. Right? The employer must pay this new $100,000 fee for new H-1B applications starting in the 2026 H-1B cap season, which, as I said, is coming up after the new year. All right, so there may be some additional exceptions. For instance, if you are workers in a company or industry that is deemed to be in the national interest, and there may be some other exceptions. However, those criteria for any exceptions have not yet been clearly defined. I'll be bringing up any new changes or developments as they become published by the White House. All right, so next question. This is a big one. How does this actually impact the future of the H-1B visa program? I can't imagine a more dramatic decision by a presidential administration to a major visa program, because after all, the H-1B visa program is extremely important for the tech industry and other industries that rely on highly skilled, very well educated foreign workers. Right? So this new fee will definitely pose an obstacle for many, if not most, potential or would-be otherwise H-1B employers. All right, so let's break this down a little bit. First, for super large high-tech companies, Amazon, Google, Apple, these companies have deep pockets. So the fee may be a manageable cost for them. Of course, they'll factor that into their cost of doing business. However, for smaller firms, maybe a startup or a nonprofit, this fee could be prohibitive and a barrier to hiring the top talent that they might otherwise want to attract and employ. And I know from my own experience working with a lot of employers, they're already employing foreign workers who are highly skilled, highly well educated, in various other work authorized statuses, most commonly the F1 OPT work authorization. That is the work that a foreign student is permitted to engage in after they've completed their degree program at a U.S. university. Many of those students are working for tech companies and other companies, um, and hoping that their employer will submit an H-1B application for them in the upcoming visa lottery. Well, that door may actually be closed this coming year because a lot of those otherwise willing employers won't be able to afford this fee. All right, so that's a pretty major development. Now, another possible side effect of this is the following. This could create what is commonly known as a brain drain. That is, highly skilled professionals who might otherwise have come to the United States hoping to apply for an H-1B or be petitioned for an H-1B may instead seek employment opportunities in other countries, most especially or commonly Canada, which has a more welcoming immigration system for skilled workers, and they don't rely on anything like the H-1B, and certainly nothing like this new $100,000 fee. All right, so let's talk a little bit now about the impact on applicants. You know, how will this change the lives of those who might otherwise have been hoping to be sponsored for an H-1B? Well, the H-1B program, this is the sort of the speculation of the experts. It's expected that the H-1B program will move away from the random lottery system that we currently have to a more merit-based system that prioritizes highly skilled, higher paid workers. Right? So this will certainly be a positive outcome for some, but it will likely disadvantage many others, including and perhaps most especially early career professionals and recent graduates from U.S. colleges and universities. So the future of the H-1B program is likely to be shaped in the courts, because there will almost certainly be legal challenges to this new rule. And so it remains to be seen what exactly will come of this new fee. It's entirely possible that a federal judge will enjoin the fee, and then it will have to make its way up to the circuit courts and eventually the U.S. Supreme Court. So we don't know. That hasn't actually happened yet, but it may. We've certainly seen precedent for other presidential proclamations being enjoined by district court judges and then making their way up to the Supreme Court. So we don't really know. But it's reasonable to expect that this new development will be subject to federal litigation. All right, so in conclusion, I can just share with you that this is obviously a rapidly developing situation. The rules are still being clarified, and I will definitely be continuing to provide updates as they become available. So if you are an employer or an H-1B visa holder with questions about this new fee, or if you need to discuss your options for a transfer or a renewal or an alternative to the H-1B visa, it's more important than ever to seek experienced legal counsel, which gets me to my final words, which are: always reach out to me if you need help. I'm here to help you move forward in your immigration journey. So contact me at the law office of Gregory J. Eck. The website is www.gregecklaw.com. You can also call at 201-604-2544 for a consultation. So, as always, let's keep you moving forward.